Hi, my name is Lydia and today I will be discussing a disease known as multiple sclerosis. It affects 2.1 million people and it is a chronic autoimmune disease. It results from the destruction of myelin insulation, which covers nerve fibers located in the central nervous system, the brain and spinal cord. When myelin is destroyed, messages from the nerves are much less effective. Immune cells attack and demolish the myelin sheaths that insulate neurons in the brain and spinal cord. Patches of scar tissue, known as plaques, form over affected areas, making matters much worse for nerve communication. MS is typically diagnosed by MRI, where plaques are found on the brain. MS is unpredictable because of the lack of patterns in the plaques. As you can see here, this is a normal brain. Over here is a brain affected by MS. The plaques, the white areas, indicating that this individual suffers from this disease. There are four types of multiple sclerosis: relapsing remitting, secondary progression, primary progressive, and progressive relapsing. Relapsing remitting is the most common type of MS. This type is distinguished by unpredictable periods of worsening symptoms known as relapses, followed by periods of no symptoms known as remission. Secondary progressive MS is characterized by steady progression of the disability without any remissions. Most cases turn into this type after 25 years of diagnosis. Primary progressive MS is a very rare form. This type consists of steady worsening of neurologic function from the very beginning. Although the rate of progression may vary over time, with the patient experiencing occasional plateaus or minor temporary improvements. The suspected causes of this disease are genes, environmental factors, and viruses. Symptoms of MS arise when the brain and spinal cord no longer communicate properly. Symptoms of this disease vary, but most commonly consist of tingling and numbness, double vision, fatigue, urinary problems, lack of balance, weakness, sensitivity to heat, and tingling feeling in the neck. There is no cure for MS, only treatment of symptoms. The cause of this disease still ultimately remains unknown. Injections, oral medication, and physical therapy are the most common forms of treatment of symptoms. Vitamin B12 and marijuana are also alternative options for those suffering. Treatment focuses on strategies to treat MS attacks and manage symptoms and reduce the progress of the disease. Some people have mild symptoms while others have very intense symptoms. Every case varies. And now I will sit down and talk to someone I know personally and love very much, suffering from the relapse-remitting form of this disease. Hello again, and here I have Melissa, who suffers from relapsing-remitting form of MS. Hi Melissa.
Hi Lydia.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
How are you today?
Fine, how are you?
I'm good. Can you tell us about your disease? How would you describe multiple sclerosis?
It's very debilitating. Once you find out you have it and you know what all the symptoms are. With me, it's all on the right side of my body. It's hard for me to walk because the brain is not sending the correct messages,
Right.
nerve-wise, to your limbs. And they kind of do what they want, and you have no control over that. So I have a hard time walking. I can't write anymore. It's very frustrating. So,
What symptoms made you go to the doctor?
I thought I had a pinched nerve in my back, so I went to see the doctor, just a regular GP, and I saw two of them, and they both decided that I needed to see a neurologist. And he was the one who required that I have an MRI, a brain MRI, and that's how they discovered MS.
And how has stress affected your disease?
Oh, God, do we have to go there? I mean, when my son got shot in the head, that was pretty stressful, to say the least. And not maybe less than a year later, he died. And he was my only child, so that was extremely stressful.
I can imagine.
And that carried on into my work, and yeah, I was just a ball of stress.
What about the diagnosis? Like, what did they do to diagnose you?
the brain MRI or MRI of my brain, which is scary looking. If you've never seen one, they cut it up like cheese to look at each slice, and to look at it looks scary because the normal brain is gray. The MS turns up as black. And your first thought is, oh my God, is that dead? No, that's just where the nerve endings have been destroyed. That's just the way it shows up. I did not know that. So that's what it is.
Have you ever tried alternative treatments like bee-sting or marijuana for those symptoms?
The thought of getting stung by a bunch of bees doesn't appeal to me whatsoever, so I'll pass on that one.
And what advice would you give someone suffering from the same disease?
Well, the thing is, MS can be very different in different people. As a matter of fact, I was diagnosed at the same time as somebody I worked with, and she was in a wheelchair before you knew it. Me, no wheelchair, no cane. And I just heard last night a friend of a friend of mine was also diagnosed with MS, and she's already in a wheelchair, so you can't tell. We have a friend who has it too, and he's not in a wheelchair, but it affects everybody differently. Mine happens to be in my leg, my right side, my right arm, my right leg. I don't think everybody's the same. I've never met anybody that had the same symptoms as me.
Right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome, Lydia.